If you're looking for differences between a villain from an antagonist, look no further than Boris Balkan from the Ninth Gate. Who is designated as a hero is greatly implied and presumed. The description is pinned on a character due to storytelling and cultural norms. Dean Corso would be considered the hero. It is he who goes on a journey of mystery seeking answers. However, it is subjective. There are those who would consider Boris Balkan as the film's hero. Stories have a protagonist. This is not as subjective. The protagonist is the leading or most prominent character for whom the story revolves around. In the Ninth Gate, this is Dean Corso. We see the story through his eyes. It's no coincidence that he's in almost every scene of the movie except for the opening sequence. Protagonists are often the hero, but not always. That's why there are anti-heroes in some films doing morally ambiguous acts. But every protagonist has his or her antagonist, who antagonizes the lead by putting up obstacles to the protagonist's objective. Not every antagonist is the villain, although the villain does eventually take the role. Dean Corso has his share of antagonists. Lyanna Telfer and her sidekick would be examples of. They are competitors that engage within and outside the rule of law. However, Lyanna is a red herring. It was Balkan who pulled the strings like a puppet master pulling a necklace. He conspired an international plot involving theft and murder. Balkan threatened the lives of others and equally endangered his own business and personal fortune over a collector's item. Why? What kind of villain is Balkan? Balkan built his empire printing his own truth. Naming his company after himself, he is introduced, given a lecture on how he sees history. We presume it was printed by his press. You see how influential he is? Balkan is the type of man who makes up his own facts and charges you for the trouble. Of course, you could argue I was being a little too presumptuous and cruel. Let's not forget that he isn't the only one in the Ninth Gate making a living off the printing press. The Sinisa brothers, who quite literally fabricate works of literature disguising them as legitimate. While not as opulent as Balkan, they live quite comfortably by making small fortunes, taking advantage of others like the Telfers. Even hell has their heroes. Balkan's motivations are muddled at first. He's Dean Corso's benefactor, someone who could afford to indulge in his curiosities. His character attributes are extremely one-dimensional. In his short opening moments, he demonstrates some charity giving a lecture, although whether he ultimately profits in book sales is unknown. Balkan is focused. He has little time for social interaction and less time for chairs, it seems. When he does allow a peek into his personal life, it's dry and humorless. His passion, as he puts it, is the devil. While certainly a conversation starter, it is a red flag. The devil, in Balkan's eyes, is more than a research topic, but an inspiration. Meanwhile, to Corso, the devil is nothing more than a character in a book. Corso's motivation begins with money. Regardless of what you judge in real life, the Hollywood trope when it comes to characters too close to the occult is suffering. Whether it's Rosemary's Baby, Angel Heart, or Late Night with the Devil, the occult is the harbinger of terrible things. Characters of the Ninth Gate are deliberately morally ambiguous, even those who seem more on the gentle and benign side. Dean Corso is ethically questionable, swindling others who are equally compromised. Balkan establishes himself as someone you don't want to be friends with. Corso even says this. Balkan isn't supposed to be liked, but respected, even feared. You can overlook, even admire his oddities because he hands out fat checks. This is a man who is not moved by money, as much as he knows how to influence others using money. Andrew Telfer, who bought a copy of the 9 Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows for his wife, self-deleted. The widow Lyanna Telfer, who first comes across a victim, is a conniving seductress and schemer. Likely commits marital infidelity. She gets brutally murdered. Victor Fargus, a kind, self-impoverished old man whose only fault is pride in his book collection, gets brutally murdered. There's Baroness Kessler, who is quite firm but fair. She's really into the occult and claims to have seen Lucifer himself. Kessler has an untold backstory of her questionable past associations. What is a German baroness doing in France? But no, never mind. She gets brutally murdered. Even the Sinisa brothers went out of business for just holding the book on their shelves, if they were really there at all. What I am trying to get at, the morally ambiguous characters of the occult have their own subculture. Who are good and nice are graded on a different scale. Even the most benign and harmless of characters openly share their mortal vulnerabilities, their sins. Others hide behind a masquerade of looks and charm. This helps deceive us, almost forgiving what kind of character Balkan is. Balkan seeks truth, pays for it really, and is unbound by societal norms. We are lured into thinking him as odd and eccentric. Money does that. Still, there are rules that separate right from wrong. The differences distinguishing a hero from a villain. Murder being on the villainous side of the scale. What we see in Balkan early in the film is one side of a devilish coin. In the second act, we learn Balkan had always been near, hiding in Corso's shadows. Corso was his scout and front man before Balkan followed up and did his own dirty work, and dirty work is something I'll return to later. Balkan's surprise party crashing is an example of a twist that deceives us to the end. His entrance calling out the Witch Coven wannabes makes him look like the most sane man in a room full of drunks. He delivers a dose of reality to a stunned crowd. However, his open pledge of allegiance to the Prince of Darkness takes center stage. We either see an evil acolyte of the devil, or Balkan is a crackpot. But everything goes off the rails, and Balkan murders Liana in front of a room full of witnesses. Balkan also showed hints of superhuman strength, beyond what is expected from a man his age. It could be he's been working out. Or perhaps his inspiration from the darker arts has resulted in above-average levels of adrenaline, giving him brief moments of overperformance. Balkan's original plan, that he shared with Corso, was to determine which of the 3 copies of the book was legitimate, the one belonging to him, to Kessler, or to Fargus. To Balkan's surprise, he learned all 3 copies each had 3 engravings created by Lucifer. The engravings were what Balkan sought after, believing it had the magic to open the 9th gate. This little said theory would have made him look like a kook if revealed too early. Therefore, to complete his collection, Balkan followed Corso's footsteps throughout Europe and murdered each book owner, taking the needed pages and burning the rest. It didn't bother him one bit to pin the murders on Corso. Balkan's true and complete motivations are shared in the end, where the question if magic is real. Balkan's ceremony had been planned, perhaps for years. An early clue comes in Balkan's library, where we see the Devil's Tower in the background. An image of it later appears in a postcard from him to Baroness Kessler, implying a rivalry and shared historical research between them. Balkan bought the tower, but he was without the book. Kessler and Fargus would never part with theirs, so he persuaded Andrew Telfer to offload Liana's gift to him. Whatever could he have said? The Balkan we see in the film is a more forgiving character than what was written in the screenplay. The film portrays Balkan as someone too occupied with his ceremony than deal with Corso intervening. Balkan offers Corso a big payout back home and casually allows him to witness the incantations. The script shows a more brutal side of Balkan, one who comes close to confessing murdering the others. The script reads how, in Balkan's mind, the devil is a pure evil spirit, who manifests himself in others. Knowing this, we see in the film how it relates to an earlier idea written in the script. Balkan wants the devil to possess and give him superpowers, where he feels no pain, floats in the air, and walks on water like a superhero or a supervillain. The film omits some of Balkan's theories, while adding a comment how he will go somewhere where Corso cannot follow. Somewhere that is revealed later. So, what was Balkan's downfall? How did he go wrong? The simple explanation is that he mistook a forgery for the real thing. The Sinisa brothers had counterfeited a page from the book and carelessly left the original on top of a dusty bookshelf. Why the Sinisa brothers did such a thing is open to speculation. The script gives a short, rather mysterious epilogue to Balkan's fate, where Corso comments to the girl about Balkan. Was Balkan's fate predetermined? Did he fall out of favor of the devil herself? His money, his hubris, his posturing was all for naught. Balkan's final legacy he sought out after will end up written in an obituary of his own newspaper. This is a chapter from my series Diary of Villainy, featuring Boris Balkan from the 1999 film The Ninth Gate. Kindly consider leaving a like, share, or subscribe if you enjoyed this video. This is Mr. G of Synergy. Check out this other video about Boris Balkan. Thanks for watching.